And we are live for real, as I realized I was on mute. But welcome back to the Gym into Crypto, episode 513. Today is Thursday, December 5th, and I'm King, here to bridge the gap between community and crypto every day, Monday through Friday. Not many top stories today, but we have Circle co-founder Sean Neville quits as CEO after reshuffle. Russian smelting giant begins testing digital trading platform. This cryptocurrency jumped 44% on news of collaboration with Microsoft, and almost 9 billion of Bitcoin moved on chain in 1 hour, setting a record. But first and foremost, let's go ahead and check out those prices on the day. Bitcoin is coming in at $7,345, down 1.57%. Ethereum's at $147, down 1.32%. XRP Ripple is at 21 cents again, down 1.119%. Bcash is at $211, down 1.37%. Litecoin's at $44, down 2.94%. And EOS is at $2.68. I'm not sure why I said it like that, and down 0.89%. So markets are in the red today. But again, we're seeing this every day. Half an hour here, hour there is in green. The next day or next half hour is in red. So continue to go up and down as per expectation. All right. Top story of the day. Again, Circle co-founder Sean Neville quits as CEO after reshuffle. And it's funny, they have him jumping out of the plane, the business class. And it's pretty funny to put a green backpack on. I'm assuming they're supposed to put that golden parachute if Exec is going ahead and hopping out of there. But payments company Circle will install a new CEO at the start of 2020 after one of its original co-founders steps down from the position. According to the cryptocurrency media outlet CoinDesk on December 5th, co-founder and co-CEO Sean Neville will transition to a post on the company's board of directors in January. Of course, Neville launched Circle with Jeremy Allaire in 2013 and has presided over his metamorphosis in the ensuing years, including a pivot away from Bitcoin and the acquisition of cryptocurrency exchange Poloniex last year. Now, I am under the assumption of that is why he's leaving. I think he was forced out because of the failed Poloniex grab and the failed bid on the cryptocurrency and exchange and everything in the industry that they were trying to do. Of course, Circle is now selling Poloniex. Neville describing the current events as forming an appropriate time to switch roles. So he's even recognizing that. If you remember, Poloniex was bought last year for $400 million by Circle. Now, we know they had the money because Goldman Sachs backs them. But the one thing we said that happened when they bought them out was that they just bought the bed. They bought a dead exchange that no one was using any longer. It used to be one of the top exchanges in the industry. Again, we always talk about it. 2016 all the way until about September of 2017. Poloniex was the go-to exchange. They had a troll box on there. You could chat. You could talk about different trades, what was going on in the industry. Everyone from around the world was in one chat box. It was great. You could do margin trading on there. It was a good place to trade. Everything was fair. I'm not sure. It began to crumble once they actually got rid of the chat box, the troll box. They were using some of the moderators in there as support for the actual exchange in 2017 once volume did go up. So like many other companies, we went through it as well, but Poloniex had an issue scaling in 2017, and then that was basically the beginning of the end of that exchange. So it came as a surprise to many when Circle came back around and bought them for $400 million in 2018. Again, the thing we kept saying was they're buying the bag. This is a dead exchange. Like, someone got you to buy at their high when they were on their way down. So it looks as though, in the past week or so, Circle acknowledged that since they were beginning to sell Poloniex, they rebranded it. And of course, Poloniex won't even be allowed for U.S. customers any longer moving forward. But of course, from a business point of view, you're the CEO, you're an executive of a company. You made that bid to buy that $400 million loss. And of course, it turned out to be a loss. They're losing a lot of money on it. And yeah, it's time to replace you. Or to replace yourself. It looks like it's happening here. I get it. It looks as though, as well, he'll still be on the company's board of directors as stated. So that's a good thing. He did help start the company, so they're not forcing him out the door, but they're also saying, hey, you're not allowed to make the final decision about what we do with the purse strings any longer. So this makes sense. It's unfortunate. And it's really unfortunate for the cryptocurrency community because, was it Sean? Sean Neville. he did make a bad decision of buying Poloniex, but I will give him credit the fact that he entered the Bitcoin market in a time where organizations and institutions are still skeptical of it, and he at least tried. They bought an exchange. They thought they would be able to revitalize it. They thought they'd be able to do something with it. It didn't work out. Whatever, these things happen. But at least he tried. He was in the community. He's in the industry, and he wants to bring cryptocurrency to larger institutions and organizations, as well as retail investors, which is why they bought the exchange to begin with. So I'm not faulting Circle for this. I'm not faulting Sean for this. Again, it didn't work out. They bought the wrong exchange at the wrong time. I mean, literally, if they would have bought Poloniex a year prior, they probably would have shifted the entire dynamics of exchanges as we know it. If they would have bought Poloniex would have been successful. Then Circle would have went to Goldman Sachs and asked for their lobbying power on Wall Street and in DC to make regulations even more lax for exchanges so they can onboard more people and bring more people to the cryptocurrency space. I think it would have been a positive across the entire industry if Poloniex did work with the Circle backing because, again, those Wall Street ties. So it wasn't all bad news. It was just a move that didn't make sense. And, of course, as we see here, Sean Neville had to pay for it. But, again, I don't fault him for it because at least he tried. That's all you can do here. And I'm sure we'll hear his name again in the coming years. I mean, if he did something as grand as buy exchange for $400 million, I'm sure in the coming years he can scrape up $1 million or $2 million and still work on some other crypto projects that may have higher returns of interest. So interesting to see. It looks like CoinDesk quoted him as stating in an email, quote, "I also expect to propel the mission forward through Center and other new complementary paths that traverse worthwhile changes in infrastructure, regulatory policy, economics, and product design." So again, he's not done working, it looks like. And Center, of course, is the project between Circle and cryptocurrency exchange Coinbase, which produced the company's native stablecoin, USDC. So again, he's not out of the crypto business. We all know crypto's big money. Again, I don't want to, really put, I won't say the blame, but I want to put too much negativity on him because he tried. But this is what we're talking about as far as a lot of people who are already working professionals for companies or have already established themselves switching over to cryptocurrency. They're taking big risks. And this is why a lot of them do go toward regulations, regulators and laws so they can try to protect their investment. But this is a group that didn't do that. Again, they failed. It's not the end of the world. There'll be other opportunities for success. And luckily, again, Circle has Goldman backing them. So it's not like they're all down and out, but we know they don't like losing any money at all. So I understand the course of action. And I guess we'll continue to follow Sean and see what happens next in his journey. What's going on, Allison Thompson, PFC Wells, Crypto and Culture. Hello, hello, hello. All right, Russian smelting giant begins testing digital trading platform. I will not lie to you. This story made more interest to me after I saw the photo or the artwork by Cointelegraph. All these gold rings, gold bracelets, gold, what are these called? I can't even think of the name they put on the end of your shirt. Cufflinks, it's just gold everywhere. This photo is nothing but shiny. Looks like Russian mining and smelting giant Nornickel has commenced testing its digital platform for metals trading. Sounds familiar? Anybody? Veritasium possibly? As Bloomberg reported on December 5th, Nornickel began trialing its platform for digital metal tokens in collaboration with physical commodities trading group Trafigura Group Ltd. Metals, finance, and logistics firm Traxys SA, and materials technology and recycling group Umicore SA. Specifically, the platform is designed to enable clients to purchase digital tokens backed by metals and then trade them for physical supply. So, literally, we're looking at the same thing Veritasium was doing with Reggie Middleton. It looks like they're trying to duplicate that in Russia. And of course, we know the SEC came down hard on him in the United States, just so literally 48 hours later, some type of regulated company, I forgot the name, could launch in the United States doing the exact same thing as him. And again, we're seeing people in Russia doing the exact same thing as him as well. So I know some people didn't believe in Reggie Middleton and Veritasium and some of the things they were doing. Some people thought it might have been a scam. Some people thought they might have been just going the wrong direction about their business. But regardless of how you feel, he did it first. He was one of the first people out there to talk about digitizing precious metals or metals trading on a digital platform. So I definitely want to give him a shout out for that, because we're seeing all these other big organizations basically copy him after they basically forced him out, and is trying to fine him for even going about this route without the big boys and girls permission to begin with. So looks like commenting on the product rollout, Nornickel CEO Vladimir Potanin, okay, I see what you did there, said that the company is, quote, imply packing existing business links into a new and modern form. Nornickel purportedly intends to raise the share its metal sales conducted using tokens to 20% within the next several years. Again, something else we just talked about yesterday when it came to stable coins and how they could basically control the price of the market, manipulate the market by controlling the supply and demand. To me, this is very similar. They intend to raise the share of its metal sales conducted using tokens to 20%. They're already planning to do this. So already that's the glaring issue with this company, is the centralization of them being able to manipulate the supply, demand, and the market price. Regardless, though, Nornickel's digital platform rollout seems to have progressed according to schedule. Vice President of Nornickel, Andrei Bagrov, previously said that the company expected to bring the product to the market by the end of 2019, as well as begin trading the tokens. Now, here was a pretty interesting thing about the article. New life of former Soviet factories. This is a pretty cool part of it I enjoyed. Large factories built in the Soviet era, primarily in cold climate locations, are slowly drawing the attention of industry enthusiasts. The largest data center in the former Soviet Union, Bit River, opened about a year ago in the Siberian city of Bratska. I might be saying that wrong, so excuse me. Now most of its clients use the facility to mine Bitcoin. The data center allows cryptocurrency miners to take advantage of cheap energy in what used to be the world's largest aluminum smelter. Last year, Deputy Governor of the Leningrad region, Dmitry Yalo, I like that name, announced the development of a new mining facility in the region, which was set to be built on the site of a former Soviet fertilizer laboratory. I mean, shout out to the Russians for this. I mean, this is very smart. I think this is something that we can also do here in the United States. It's something I actually talk about, or I've talked to people about in Detroit. Detroit is filled with abandoned factories and warehouses and homes and all that stuff. I'm like, we can literally go in there, especially we have a cold climate too. Detroit's 15 minutes from the Canadian border. I mean, if you're on the waterfront, you can swim over there if you wanted to go through that nasty, treacherous water. But if you wanted to take the tunnel or bridge, it literally takes 15 minutes, no traffic, barring any random stop and inspection. But Michigan can do the same thing. Cold climate, abandoned factories, abandoned warehouses. I actually tried to pitch this to some people before. They weren't really familiar with crypto in general, so they're just kind of like, well, we don't really understand how this would matter. But Russia is taking this thing on, and I think it's a great idea. You already have the facilities in place. You already have the cold climate in place for a lot of computers and servers and all that good stuff. The next best thing is just to implement it. I mean, you have the infrastructure. It's now just about implementing a few new technological renovations. That's really it. But I think it's pretty cool to see. I think it's going to work for them very well, especially as Bitcoin continues its trend and its climb of being more popular. You talk about mining Bitcoin, the halvening next year. Maybe you might need bigger mining facilities or colder mining facilities to do this in a more efficient manner. It looks like Russia is going to step up and be one of the countries that will offer something. So again, this is cool to see. It makes perfect sense. And yeah, I can't wait to see how that develops as well. What's going on? Cryptonomics. Jizzy Matt, Russians aren't worried about the SEC is the difference. That is very true as well. PFC Wills, I've been saying the same thing about Baltimore. Right, I mean, there's plenty of places in the U.S. that have colder climates where we can do some serious, if not mining, just anything crypto related. You got to remember, people, this stuff uses computers, it uses servers, it uses everything that gets hot that needs to be stored in cool places that usually people have to pay for. Perfect example, they're talking about building the largest mining center ever in the state of Texas, right? Which do you think will fare better? A mining center in Texas or the ones in Russia? A mining center in Texas or the ones in Michigan? At least when it comes to saving money and being more efficient, the ones in the colder climates make more sense. The one that they're building in Texas, I mean, they are going to have an air conditioning system of the future in place. People, Texas gets super hot. There's no clouds. I mean, you're talking about the desert. So they're going to need all that stuff in place just to ensure the mining facility runs smoothly. Now, you doing in some of these other cold climate places, you don't need that. You don't need as much air. You don't need to worry about it. It's already going to be cold. If anything, you might need to put mechanisms in there to ensure it doesn't get too cold. So, hardware won't freeze over or won't break from the cold. So something to think about for those people in those cold weather regions. They might want to implement it there. PFC Will said, for everyone talking about Russia that don't like crypto, you are crazy. Everyone likes crypto. No one just wants to talk out loud about it. That is true. This cryptocurrency jumped 44% on news of collaboration with Microsoft. Now, I'm not sure why it jumped 44%. And I'm just joking. I know why. But again, people, buy the rumors, sell the news. So it's interesting that it jumped 44% because I am very sure, I'm almost positive as it was going up, the real people who already made their money were selling it. And right now, there's a lot of people holding that bag at a high price view. It still isn't that high. But it looks like Microsoft and Engine are collaborating to develop a blockchain-based recognition program. The cryptocurrency jumped 44% on the news yesterday, ending the day at 0.08 cent on Bitfinex. So 8 cent, people, great. Engine partners with Microsoft in Azure recognition program. Look like Singapore-based IT firm Engine, one of the largest cryptocurrency-focused gaming community platforms out there, is rolling out a pilot reward system in conjunction with Microsoft. Azure Heroes is a tokenized recognition program that rewards contributions to Microsoft's cloud-based computing platform Azure. Consequently, participants who contribute to the Azure ecosystem can expect, and I might be saying that wrong too, can expect to earn digital collectibles in the form of cryptocurrency for their efforts. Azure Heroes aims to reward individuals for verifiable acts of impact such as coaching, creating demos, building sample code, blogging about Azure, or completing certain challenges. Community members that have demonstrated their contributions will be recognized with badges across a number of categories. And here I'm gonna zoom in, you can see some of the badges. Content hero, community hero, inclusive leader, mentor, and a maker. And again, all of these different badges have a set amount. Right now, you can see, inclusive leader, there will only be 100 of these badges. Content hero, 250 of these badges. Maker, 10,000 of those. So it looks like the reward program operates under a 5-tier system that, as I just mentioned, it works by a way of nominating individuals, either yourself or someone you know, who have made a positive contribution to the Azure cause. Meanwhile, those selected will receive a QR code to scan in order to claim their digital badger. At present, there are just 11,700 badgers up for grabs, but each season will produce newly minted badgers. Specifically, when you receive a cute badger, as they say in your wallet, you're actually taking ownership of non-fungible tokens NFT, which is unique and one of a kind. These digital assets will be on the Ethereum public blockchain, being an ERC1155 token. They also allow for standard interface for contracts to manage multiple token types. This means a single deployed contract can include any combination of fungible tokens, non-fungible tokens, or any configuration. So again, they're actually planning on using smart contracts for that, which is pretty cool. This article also is on newsbtc.com. I'll post the link in the chat box if anybody's interested. Now, on the positive note, I will say it's a good idea to bring not only additional content creators, but attention to the Azure platform. We know that they've been working hard on that. They are fighting, who am I thinking about? They're going against, I believe, Amazon right now on their cloud-based platform. Amazon Web Services. So that's who the main competition for Microsoft Azure is. I think it's cool to, again, to bring the attention, to get people involved. But as one of the commenters just said, cryptonomics, badges, we don't need no stinking badges, LOL. That is true. We do not need any stinking badges. But to me, this serves as more as the intranet, not the internet of things like Bitcoin. But this is that, behind closed doors, firewall. It's something that Microsoft is specifically doing for a certain product and people who use or create with that product. Again, you're talking about going back, they're rewarding people who build sample code, create demos, coach, all that good stuff. So again, I think this is where we're going to see cryptocurrency go. Anybody who wants one can have one, and they can create it how they want, in hopes, of course, of this ecosystem blossoming, and then they'll be able to bring that back into the Bitcoin ecosystem and hopefully trade for some of that. I mean, we know how this game works, which is why we say Bitcoin is king. All these other altcoins, while you're collecting them, you could actually be losing out on Bitcoin. So that's my only assumption for what they can do here. Again, to bring attention, to actually have people start utilizing and building on their platform. And then, of course, as that token continues to go up in value and continues to blossom in the ecosystem, if people want to use that to trade for other cryptocurrencies, they can. So this article also goes into detail about the gamification of blockchain and cryptocurrency, something I've talked about a lot. You know, we talk about the people who use technology first are gamers, criminals, and porn. I mean, it's just one of those things that always happens again and again. So you can read more about that. But yeah, on a large scale for cryptocurrency, I don't see this being a factor. But when you begin to look at what other companies will use things like this, it will become one. And honestly, this could also be a way. I don't want to use too many bad words that the U.S. don't like, but you know, we just arrested the guy Virgil for possibly speaking about getting around sanctions in North Korea. But this is the same thing. What happens when we sanction businesses or we try to cut businesses out the fold? They'll begin to do things like this. To me, this is just a different level, but this is Libra as well. It's a big company. You're talking about Microsoft creating a crypto coin, right? Or a cryptocurrency. But instead of pushing it out there like this is going to be a financial instrument, they're pushing out there that, hey, this is more for our Azure platform and all that good stuff. Well, let me ask you this. Let's say overnight, you know, 1 million people, 2 million people decide to use this coin, right? We already saw it go up in value a little bit. Let's say it increases in value more. And people say, well, you know what? While it's being used for Microsoft, whether you're doing your demos or your coaching and building sample code, don't forget, these things are centralized. I talked about how terms of use could change overnight. If they get enough people in their ecosystem and people start using this, there is no stopping Microsoft from saying, hey, now you can actually buy all Microsoft products with it. Hey, we just got a partnership with Uber. You can actually use it for that. Hey, we just got a partnership with grocery stores. You can also use it for that. 5 years down the road, everybody's using this coin that is being backed by them. So to me, when I saw it, I was like, it's the same thing basically Libra's doing, except Libra's actually coming out. Mark Zuckerberg's coming out saying, no, we're using this as an actual exchange of value. Whereas here it's an exchange of value but for a platform. But it's the same thing to me. So we'll see. Let's see. Crypto and cultures. Oh, so you didn't hear him talk about the engine token. Same thing with Samsung for sure. Oh, okay. Jizzy Max said, Enjoy had a bigger jump on Samsung, new, and then bled all the way back down, sell the news. Exactly. As I said, if you're buying this right now, you are literally buying the top. Again, if you plan to stay in long term, it's not bad business. Look at this chart right here and the price. This is where Ripple was at, people, like 2 years ago. Honestly, Ripple was at, it might have been even less. It might have been 0.008 cents, so less than a penny. That might be 3 years ago, I'm thinking, at this point. But I do remember early 2017, Ripple had just broached like the 8-cent mark, if not less than that. And again, 2 years later, while it's at its low, since it's high of $3 and something, which it should have never got to, it's now sitting at 21 cents, which is the new low, I guess, of course. But it's one of those things where if you believe in the long term, then it doesn't matter, right? You've got $50, $100, you're talking about 8 cents a share essentially. Believe it will drop more than likely to 5 cents or so in the next few weeks. But if you believe in this platform and what Microsoft is doing with Engine and that collaboration, this blockchain-based recognition program, which whenever I hear recognition programs, it's probably going to be utilized in other places as well. But if you believe in the project, this is still an affordable price, right? You're talking about 8 cents a share, essentially. And again, you can put $20 up and just see what happens, $100 up, or for some of those big spenders, a couple thousand, whatever, right? And it's a very low price. Again, long term, it may be a payoff to it. But if you don't believe in a long-term hold, then no, this isn't something you should be buying right now. Now, I do believe after it dips, there will be one more slight pump. Again, it's still in the news. I expect them to be pushing out more news as the end of the year. Almost every company out there likes pushing out new news in the first and second quarters of every year to let everyone know what they're working on. So if it jumped 44% now, expect a slight dip. Possibly sometime in Q1, you can expect another announcement from Microsoft and Engine as well, as far as their progression and what they're doing, something along those lines. It might not even be a real partnership, a real announcement. It'll just be something to keep the interest going, right? Because they want to keep that price high, of course. So yeah, long-term holds, then yes, it makes sense to buy. But if you're just looking for a quick buck, you literally just missed the boat already. It already jumped 44%. So that is that. And to end on a great news story, almost $9 billion of Bitcoin moved on chain in 1 hour. This is setting a record. You can see the bullet train with the Bitcoin logo on it here. On December 4th, 8.9 billion in Bitcoin were moved on the blockchain in a single hour, excluding change volume, which is Bitcoin that returns to the sender. Bitcoin's high transaction volume was pointed out by Raphael Schultz-Kraft, the co-founder of on-chain market intelligence firm Glassnode. In a tweet on December 4th, he claimed that such a high hourly transaction value was a first for the network. Quote, "It's the highest hourly USD transaction value in Bitcoin history." Now, before we talk about this volume, shout out to Raphael for pointing it out. And shout out for Bitcoin's blockchain working and doing what it's supposed to do. People, this is why we need Bitcoin in government. And this is why government is not even talking about Bitcoin or Bitcoin's blockchain. They're talking about blockchain technology, but not Bitcoin's blockchain. And that is because of transparency. This is the way it works. We keep seeing this over and over. We know we have well alerts out there who find the high volume moves as well. But this is the beauty and the power of Bitcoin's blockchain. If you move a lot of money, someone is going to see it. Then they're going to trace where it comes from and try to figure out who it belongs to. That is the beauty. So the next time our country goes another $21 trillion in debt, we can trace it back to the penny. In fact, we can trace it back to the Satoshi of where all that money went, how, who sent it, who had access to send it. We can trace it all back. Everything can be accounted for. And it's something that the U.S. actually preaches, at least in the military. We preach about accountability, never leaving people behind. So I think it's about time we start preaching the same accountability when it comes to money and finances. It needs to be transparent. It makes sense for it to be transparent, especially, again, I have to remind people of this on a daily basis. I mean, not just on the show, but out in real life. Who pays the bills around here? Taxpayers, citizens of the United States. We pay the bills for every government, politician, regulator, service. We are the ones paying the bills. So at the very least, we can get a receipt. That's all I'm asking. I'm saying, hey, if I got to go to the grocery store and I got to buy everybody a bunch of groceries, stuff that I don't even eat, I got to buy Jell-O, pudding, I got to buy all this stuff I don't even want. But hey, you got kids that go to this school. You live on this road that needs to be fixed. I have to spend all my money on this. And of course, in California, the more you make, the more you take. And I assure you that is true. If you're getting taxed up to 35, 40%, and then you have agency fees and all this stuff for entertainers out here, they take a lot of your money. At the very least, you can get a receipt. And to me, Bitcoin's blockchain is that receipt. It is a transparent way of accounting. But back to the story as I digress. It looks like BitTracks is the one responsible for the spike. Schultz-Kraft's company apparently soon started to work to uncover who or what was the reason for the unusual spike. As I stated earlier today on December 5th, Glassnode posted on Twitter claims that the spike was caused by cryptocurrency exchange BitTracks moving a large amount of Bitcoin multiple times. According to the tweet, the exchange performed 21 on-chain transactions within 1 hour, each of which moved around 56,000 Bitcoin, nearly 416 million, for a fee of about 60 cents. The tweet also contained a link to data pertaining to the first of those transactions. So first of which, again, I told you all BitTracks is dying, right? I mean, I've been saying it for the last couple of weeks. When they start moving money like this out of the blue, people, they're dying. Another thing is, now that we know how much BitTracks actually has as well, you're talking about $9 billion. It goes to show they don't care about the end user. I mean, you just saw I was speechless, right? I was speechless because they had the money to actually add mechanisms to make their exchange move, or runs more smoothly, but they elect not to because they don't care. Because as I told you, one of their CEOs, Bill Shahara, I believe his name is. Yes, Bill Shahara. I'm not sure if he still does with this type of pocketbook, but at the time of creating BitTracks, like him and some of his other guys who created were still working for other companies. They were like security developers over at Microsoft or Google. One was doing development at wherever else. So they weren't even paying attention to the platform. It was kind of like Mt. Gox. They built something, or they bought something, a piece of something. They built it up. It started running very smoothly. A lot of people started paying attention to it, and they never did anything to it. Again, I mentioned this many times before. Since I started in crypto, I've been seeing this has been one of the biggest issues, and that's a bunch of developers with a lot of money trying to be the bosses as well, trying to be the CEO, trying to be the COO, the chief operating officer as well, when they have no experience in none of that. Their experience is developing and creating these amazing billion-dollar products, but their experience is not actually running companies and utilizing these products and making the company scale. Even though they try to do it on their own, they continuously fail. We've seen that. But back to the story again. Interestingly enough, the transactions took place ahead of the exchange scheduled maintenance for the day. Cointelegraph Spain reported on transactions yesterday, and BitTracks told the outlet that no hack took place. Again, you shouldn't be telling the outlet no hack took place. You should be pushing out information on your Twitter accounts and emails and everything, letting people know, hey, if you see an anomaly on the Bitcoin blockchain, on the Bitcoin network, it's because we are moving all of this money. So that's all the stuff that BitTracks is doing. But on a very positive note, which is why I wanted to cover this story to begin with and to end on a great note for the day. Let's go back to it. 56,000 Bitcoin, $416 million was moved for a fee of 60 cents. That is the highlight of this story, people. $416 million was moved very quickly for 60 cents. So to put that in comparison, when you wire transfer funds from your bank, I believe it's anywhere from 24 to 40 something, $42, $43 for like an overnight wire, right? Or even a 2-day wire is like $40, $30. If you don't have money in your bank account, then you get hit with a $35 overdraft fee. If you don't have money in your bank account by the end of the month, you get hit with another $35 overdraft fee. So let's say you want to do a wire transfer, you transfer too much money, you don't have any more money, and then end of the month is there as well. You literally just paid at least $90 to $100 to a bank just for doing anything with your paltry, couple $100 you were trying to move or didn't have, right? Whereas with this technology, you can move $416 million in a blink of an eye, in a snap of a finger, for 60 cents, people. Again, to me, 2 + 2 = 4. I don't know why we haven't adopted this technology or mass adoption haven't occurred. The only thing I can kind of figure for it is the government pushback and the FUD that goes out. But as far as it working, this is why we keep telling you not to worry about the price. 1 Bitcoin equals 1 Bitcoin. Not 1 Bitcoin equals however much money, because fiat currency doesn't matter. Because you can't transfer $460 million in fiat currency in a blink of an eye for 60 cents. It's not possible. It's going to take you at least a week to transfer that money, and they're going to charge you roughly 3%. So you do the math. If you're a big company, or if you're a big organization, on the low end, you will be charged 3% for that transfer. How much do you think that will equate to? $416 million, 3% of that. I mean, just think about 3% of 400 million to make that easier. So what, we're looking at least, 40 million bucks? Is that right? Or am I way off? Is it 4 million, 14 million? Yeah, about four to $6 million at least. That's a lot of money just to transfer. So I'm paying somebody $5-6 million just to transfer my money, when I can just use this technology and do it and for like basically for free in a matter of moments. So definitely worth looking at. And whenever you talk to people about Bitcoin and blockchain technology and the power of it, make sure you mention that. Make sure you mention there are transfers happening above $400 million for 60 cents in the blink of an eye. That is the power of it. Jizzy Mac was talking about Enjoy. Says a good project, but it's still ERC20 and no plans for its own blockchain. Ethereum 2.0 could be a problem for all ERC20 tokens. Let's see. Jizzy Mac also said, I agree, it's still up in the air. It's a whole new blockchain. They haven't said it will be backwards compatible. Talking about Ethereum 2.0, right? So we'll check that out. What's going on, Tony Nolly? Other than that, that is the show for today, folks. As always, thanks for watching. As I said, it wasn't a lot of crypto news today, but we'll continue to monitor it, see what comes in on Friday. And, of course, this long weekend, we'll see what happens with the price of Bitcoin as well. Other than that, as always, thanks for watching. Make sure you smash that like and share, or you can listen to us on our podcast platform, iTunes platforms, Google Play Music, iHeartRadio, and, of course, Spotify. Thanks for watching. And you know I'm rocking this cryptic coin jacket Make sure you get your hands on some. If you haven't already, just hit us up in the comment box. We'll make sure we send you some. Other than that, have a great day, folks. Cheers.